but you can see the level of information we now have, and going into Power Framework, and Power Framework is something that we use on a day-to-day basis, and the project managers use it. Even our exec are now starting to use Power Framework because it's such an intuitive system to just go into and obtain even the basic project information. Here you can see just the main dashboard and a project that I've picked that has all the project information we need. You can view things like your RAID logs, so risks, assumptions, issues and decisions are all logged in here, and we encourage project managers to use this on a day-to-day basis. But as part of this, it helps people like our senior project portfolio controller, Ben, work out schedules and look at milestones and be able to work out the dependencies on different programs, so then he can then report up to our exec team, so he can display that in nice Power BI reporting dashboards. This is something, however, and it was only yesterday when I was taking one of our new PMs through this, and it seems so simple, but it's the to do with our documentation storage. Traditionally, as Sarah just mentioned then, everyone used to store their own project documents on their own OneDrives or their own project folders, and you never could access any of it. But now we have SharePoint integration to Power Framework. So going back to my previous slide here, I can go into a project, I can go to the documents folder, and I can see everyone's approval folders, I can see everyone's finance folders, etc. And that not only links in with Power Framework, it links in with Teams, and it actually is a standalone SharePoint site on its own. So it's completely revolutionised the way that we can store documents. And the new PM turned around to me yesterday and went, "Why didn't we have this in our old business?" And actually I was going, well, it seems so simple now. But now we come on to really the future of how we're using Power Framework. So I'll hand over to Sarah, who can talk to you a bit about the AI side.
Cool, thank you. So we are continuing to work with Power Framework on some of the new features that they release. They're constantly on the ball with kind of coming up with new things that could potentially help. And one of the things that we were really excited about was their AI capability. And there was a few reasons for that. I'm sure you've all experienced people come to you and say, "Oh, there's no risks on this project." Actually, I think you'll find. And actually, yeah, there's internal eye rolling goes on at that point. But some of our PMs do struggle with a blank piece of paper at the start, particularly at the start of a project. So really, we were looking for something that would be that sort of starter for 10, to give them, something to then build upon. And it has been really, really useful for that, particularly in terms of risk. And what it also offers is coming up with benefits and return on investment. And we're really just starting to explore that now as we move through our sort of benefits monitoring and planning and realization journey. But it has been, super, super helpful, particularly in advance of sort of board papers where we can just go in and check and sort of make sure, there's reasonable risks around there. And it also develops mitigation plans for those risks as well. So and it's fully editable, and even when you sort of click the button, you can edit it then, so you can take out things that aren't maybe necessary. So it's very, very intuitive to use, and we're really, really happy with it. No.
So Sarah, it generates your risk register, doesn't it, from what it sees of the data that you've already captured in the project. It goes away and suggests what the risks are that you may want to consider.
Yes.
And generates other content as well, like business case, narrative, and those kind of things. That's what it does.
Absolutely. Yeah, as long as you've got that sort of, justification and background, and then it can work with that to generate really, really interesting insight and data.
Thanks, Sarah. Sarah mentioned earlier that I was from a change management background coming to Bristol Airport, but I saw AI and I panicked, and I just thought, this is the future. Someone's going to take my job. But then it's only until someone told me back at the event that we went to, the PMO Conference in November back in Edinburgh, that someone said that, don't worry, it's only the information that you have put in. So then I kind of went, okay, my job's safe for at least another year. So just a few key learnings from us from Power Framework, really, and it's nice that we can showcase this to you, but it has come with its challenges as well. and we wouldn't be human if we didn't have a few challenges. I wanted to highlight, and I highlighted it earlier, but the amount of PMO support that it needed, and that's in terms of the data migration piece. We assumed that it would be quite simple, but actually, because we had lots of Excel spreadsheets, it wasn't. And it took us actually a little while to get that up and running. But the one I wanted to focus on the most, and whether it's a culture piece, but we neglected the MVP, and I think lots of people do this. And just from the talk earlier, you heard, I forgot what his name is, sorry, but he went into a bit about waterfall and the use of agile. But actually, we worked in quite an a waterfall fashion in this, where we could have done things in a bit more of an agile fashion. We completely neglected that minimal viable product. We asked for everything up front, and actually I think we overwhelmed the Power Framework team, who dealt with it really well, but we overwhelmed the team to say, we want this, we want this, we want that. But actually, there are some things we're not even using 2 years on now. So I think it's really important that you decide what that acceptance criteria is.
This is where I'm actually going to get up and emphasize this point. It's from our perspective, really important to see this as a journey and not be overly ambitious to begin with. And there is a real risk of coming up with requirements that are actually maybe from your background of how it used to be when everything was Excel, and you have this expectation maybe, for example, that we should have lots of automation and alerts, and because that was always the issue, that you never knew what was going on. So now you really want the system to prompt you, when actually you have now all this visibility at your fingertips, and so, for example, automation is something that you really want to probably park for a while and verbalize your requirements once you've had the real experience of using the tool for a while. It's a good thing. It's very easy to over-specify your requirements to begin with and start with too complex a scenario. But
yeah, whether that's just Garo safeguarding the future Power Framework team, so you're not
Carol, ask a question. Why not? While you're there
in the future. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, of course.
I just, Carl, sorry, the microphone.
When you talk about the minimum viable product, is that minimum in terms of what functions you want it to do? So let's go live with reporting, let's go live with planning or resource management and not bother about benefits? Or is it minimum viable product of what is the suite of functions we want to go with and what's the minimum that we want to do in each one of those? And then we'll dive deeper into each one of those. Is there any particular better way to do it?
I think it can be a mix of both. It's definitely probably parking certain features altogether. I don't know, lessons learned or benefits or whatever that is, and really focusing on what is a key priority to you as a business that absolutely must be there, and then focus on what must be there. But even then in what must be there, to do that maybe as much as you can with out-of-the-box features rather than, for example, adding automation. Automation is a good example always where we might be tempted to add that in. So it's a mix of things, but there's definitely much benefit in parking entire feature areas potentially, because maybe they're okay to carry on with in Excel for the time being, or the complexity of it, resource management, financial management, they're always the complex areas. We have customers who park that all together, just type in a number for now and not do the full management and detailed breakdown of costs and integrations of that, save that, carry on working with spreadsheets with that for the time being until the whole tool is embedded, and then tackle that. It's those kind of things. And it's personal to everyone. It's always different. Very much a result of where you're at, what your requirements are. Yeah. Back to you, Chris, sorry.
No, not at all, just conscious of time. But with every challenge, of course, we needed some benefits out of this as well. But what our benefits really are, and I've covered a lot of it now, but it's really streamlined the way that we work as a PMO. We have that project visibility that we can now show our exec teams, but also we don't work on Excel spreadsheets anymore, and actually that was our main goal, to have that single source of truth, and actually we have that now. So we really sort of encourage people to sort of use a similar the similar system.
And just to jump in on that as well, we are, of course, looking to, I think everyone in this room must be actively looking at AI capabilities and what that might mean to their organization. And AI can really only flourish, if you like, if you collect data that AI can look at. And so we are now, this AI system that you're seeing is, for example, ingesting the information that you've captured for a new project idea, and it's looking across your lessons learned history and saying, for projects that you've done in the past that are similar to the one that you're about to undertake, as far as I can tell, there have been some key lessons learned, and then summarizes those, and you can actually then pick them and add them to your project as the lessons that you really want to consider as you're now mapping out the business case and the plan for this project. Those kinds of things are really beneficial, and that's where that whole single source of truth concept really comes in.
Yeah.